What you're about to hear are 3 accounts submitted by real people, ordinary men and women who, on an otherwise forgettable night, came face to face with something they still can't fully explain. Not monsters, not ghosts. Something far worse. Other people. Story 1. The Last Customer. A night shift gas station story. I was 23 when I took the overnight shift at a gas station outside Dayton, Ohio. It wasn't a glamorous job. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., alone in a fluorescent box on the edge of Route 40, watching semis roll past in the dark. The pay was garbage, but I needed the money, and honestly, most nights, nothing happened. You'd get a trucker grabbing coffee around 2, maybe a drunk college kid looking for chips. That was it. You learn to get comfortable with the quiet. I'd been working there about 4 months when the man in the gray sedan first showed up. It was a Wednesday night, maybe 1:30 in the morning. I remember because I'd just refilled the hot dog roller and was flipping through my phone when I heard the bell above the door chime. I looked up. He was tall, mid-40s maybe, wearing a gray hoodie and dark jeans. Nothing unusual. But the first thing I noticed was that he didn't go to the snack aisle. He didn't head for the coolers. He just stood at the entrance and looked at me. "Help you with something?" I called. He smiled, slow and quiet, like he was remembering a joke from a long time ago. "Just looking," he said. He walked one slow lap around the store, touching nothing, picking up nothing, and then he left. I watched his gray sedan pull out of the lot and disappear east on Route 40. I remember thinking he was probably just weird, maybe drunk. I shrugged it off. He came back the next Wednesday. Same time. 1:37 a.m. I checked the clock that time. Same hoodie, same slow lap around the store, same smile when he caught me watching him. "Cold out," he said on his way out the door. "Sure is," I said. He left. By the 3rd Wednesday, I'd told myself a story. He was a trucker, a regular, some insomniac who'd gotten used to stopping here. I had a whole explanation ready for myself. It kept me calm. What broke that story was the parking lot camera. Our manager, Dave, had mentioned offhand one morning that the external cameras had a longer range than people thought. They picked up nearly 100 yards in each direction down the road. I'd never thought much about it. But after the 3rd visit from the gray sedan, I pulled up the previous weeks on the DVR out of curiosity. I found the gray sedan, all right. It was parked down the road, east side, half on the gravel shoulder, lights off. Both Wednesdays. It had been sitting there for over an hour before the man came inside, just sitting in the dark on Route 40, pointed at the station, watching. And on the first night, the one I dismissed as nothing, the sedan had also been there. I just hadn't noticed because I hadn't known to look. 3 weeks. Every Wednesday. An hour of sitting in the dark before he came in to browse. I called Dave. He told me to call the police if the guy gave me trouble, but that sitting in a car isn't a crime. He wasn't wrong. I know that. But I also know the difference between someone killing time and someone studying a routine. I started keeping the back door unlocked after midnight. There's a storage room back there with a second exit into a fenced lot. It wasn't much, but it was something. An option. I started keeping my phone on the counter instead of in my pocket. The 4th Wednesday, I was ready, or I thought I was. He came in at 1:31, gray hoodie again. But this time he didn't do his lap. He walked directly to the counter and put both hands flat on the glass, and he looked at me with that same quiet smile and said, "You look tired." "Long night," I said. My voice was steadier than I expected. "You always here alone?" "Manager's in the back," I said. He tilted his head just slightly, like he was deciding something. Then he looked down at my hand. I had it resting near the counter phone, and his smile widened by a fraction. "I like this place," he said. "I'll be back." He left. I called the police while his tail lights were still visible. The officer who came out was polite but not particularly interested. No crime committed. Gray sedan, partial plate. He said he'd pass it along. I don't know if he did. What I know is this. I switched to the day shift the following week. I told Dave it was a personal scheduling issue. But the real reason was what I found when I went to pull the camera footage after that fourth visit. The footage from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. that night, the hour before he came in, showed the gray sedan parked down the road. Same spot, same darkness. But this time he wasn't alone in the car. There was a second person in the passenger seat. Neither of them moved for the entire hour. They just sat there in the dark, watching the station. I never saw the gray sedan again after I switched to days. I don't know what they were planning. I don't know why they chose me or that station or those Wednesdays. I don't know what would have happened if I'd been less careful or less lucky, or if that back door hadn't been. Story 2. Something on the Trail. A solo hiking story I've hiked alone my whole life. I know people think that's reckless, especially for a woman, but I grew up doing it. I know how to read terrain. I carry what I need. And honestly, it's the only place I've ever really felt like myself. Out there, alone with the tree line and the altitude, the world gets quiet in a way it never does anywhere else. I say all of this so you understand, I'm not the kind of person who spooks easily on a trail. I know what animals sound like. I know what wind sounds like. I know the difference between a branch falling and something moving. What happened to me on the Ridgeline Loop in western Montana last September, I still don't have a clean explanation for it. And I've tried. I'd done the trail twice before. 14 miles, moderate elevation gain, one backcountry campsite at the halfway point where I'd stay the night before looping back. No cell service for most of it, but I had a satellite communicator, first aid, bear spray, the full kit. I signed the trail register at the trailhead. 7 a.m. start. The first 6 miles were perfect. Cool air, good visibility, the aspens already going gold. I made the campsite by noon, ate lunch, rested my feet, and was back on trail by 1:30. The second half of the loop is less traveled. The path gets narrower and the tree cover gets dense. But I'd done it before and I wasn't worried. Around mile 9 is when I first felt it. I don't know how else to describe that feeling except to say it's very specific. It's not fear exactly, it's awareness. The sudden animal sense that something in your environment has changed, and your brain is catching up to figure out what. Hikers who've spent real time in the backcountry know what I'm talking about. The hair on your arms, the way you start listening differently. I stopped walking and stood still for about 30 seconds. Birds, wind, the creek to my left. Nothing else. I kept moving. At mile 10, I heard footsteps, not directly behind me, off to the right in the trees, maybe 40 feet upslope. Heavy, irregular, like something large moving through underbrush. I stopped again. The sound stopped too. Bear, I thought. Could be a deer? I talked out loud, the way you're supposed to. It said, "Hey bear," a few times, waited. Nothing moved. Nothing answered. After a minute, I kept hiking. At mile 11, I heard it again, closer this time. Still in the trees, still to my right, but I'd estimate 25 feet now. I stopped. It stopped. This is the part that changed things for me. When an animal follows you, and I've been followed by deer, by a black bear once, curious rather than aggressive, there's a certain randomness to the sound. They don't track your exact rhythm. They move in bursts, pause, move again. Unpredictable. What was in the trees moved exactly when I moved, and stopped exactly when I stopped. Every single time, I pulled out my bear spray and held it in my right hand. I didn't run. You don't run. But I increased my pace significantly and moved toward the center of the trail, away from the trees. For the next mile and a half, whatever it was stayed with me, always to the right, always in the tree line, always, and I want to be precise here, always matching my footfall rhythm exactly, step for step. I started making noise, talking out loud, clapping, the whole protocol. The sound didn't change, didn't speed up, didn't retreat. Just kept pace with me, maybe 20 feet into the trees, moving through the underbrush in a way that was deliberate and quiet. Not animal quiet, careful quiet. At mile 12 and a half, the trail bends hard left and drops toward the valley. The tree line thins out and you get open meadow on both sides. The moment I came around that bend and hit open ground, the sounds in the trees stopped completely. Whatever it was didn't follow me into the open. I half jogged the last mile and a half to the trailhead. My car was one of only 3 in the lot. A green pickup I didn't recognize had parked next to me while I was on trail. I noticed the window was cracked, even though the temperature had dropped. I got in my car, locked the doors, and drove. I reported it to the ranger station the next morning. The ranger I spoke to listened carefully. She asked me about the footfall rhythm, specifically whether it had matched mine. And when I said yes, her expression shifted in a way I didn't like it confirmed something rather than surprised her. She told me there had been a few reports from that section of the Ridgeline Loop over the past 2 summers. She didn't tell me what those reports said. She recommended I hike with a partner in that area going forward. I asked her directly, "Was that a person?" She said, "It's possible." I asked, "Has anyone been hurt?" She paused for a moment and then said, "Not on the trail." I've thought about that answer almost every day since. I don't know what she meant by it. Story 3, The Previous Tenant. A new apartment story. My name is Daniel. I moved into the apartment on Creekwood Drive last March, right after my divorce was finalized. It was a second-floor unit in a complex that had seen better days. Peeling trim, a parking lot full of cracks, a coin laundry room in the basement that smelled like mildew. But it was affordable, and it was mine, which was all I cared about at that point. I needed somewhere to land, somewhere quiet to put myself back together. The property manager, a woman named Rhonda, handed me the keys on a Friday afternoon. She told me the unit had been vacant for about 6 weeks. The previous tenant, she said, had moved on. I didn't think to ask what that meant. I had boxes to unload. The first strange thing happened on my 3rd night. I was asleep, maybe 2 in the morning when I woke up with the absolute certainty that someone was in my apartment. I don't know how to explain why I was certain. I just was. That deep, cold knowing that you're not alone in a space where you're supposed to be alone. I lay still for a long moment, listening. Nothing. Silence. The hum of the refrigerator. A car on the street outside. I got up, turned on every light, checked every room, every closet, under the bed. Nothing. No one. All windows locked. Front door locked. I went back to sleep feeling embarrassed. But the feeling came back the next night, and the night after that. By the end of the first week, I'd convinced myself it was just adjustment, new space, new sounds, the particular psychological rawness that comes with the end of a marriage. I was grieving, in a way. My body was on edge. That's what I told myself. What I couldn't explain away was the smell. It started in the second week. Faint at first. I thought I'd left something in the trash. But I took out the trash, and the smell remained. It was coming from the bedroom closet. Specific, localized, old and organic and wrong. I cleaned the closet top to bottom. I left baking soda on the shelf. It faded for a few days and then came back. I mentioned it to Rhonda. She said she'd send someone to check. No one came. In the third week, I found the marks on the inside of the closet door. I'd been putting up a hook and was examining the wood when I noticed that the interior of the door, the side that faces into the closet, had scratches on it, at roughly chest height. Long, horizontal lines, the kind you'd make if you raked your fingernails down the surface. Multiple passes. The wood was worn down in a way that took time. I told myself it was the previous tenant's dog or a cat, some explanation like that. What made that explanation hard to keep was the height. The marks started at roughly 5.5 feet and went down to about 4 feet. Not the pattern of an animal scratching to get out. The pattern of a person pressing their hands flat and dragging them downward. I called Rhonda again, asked her directly about the previous tenant. She was quiet for a moment and then said that she wasn't able to share that information with me. I asked why. She said it was a privacy matter. I said the tenant had presumably moved out, so what privacy was there to protect? She said the matter had been handled and that I shouldn't worry about it. I started sleeping with my bedroom door locked. The thing that finally made me leave, and I want to be clear, I was out of that apartment within 30 days of moving in, was what I found above the closet. There's a ceiling access panel in most of these older units. Leads to a crawl space above the unit that the maintenance crew uses to run wiring. I'd noticed it before but never thought about it. It's just a panel in the hallway ceiling, painted over, easy to miss. On a Sunday afternoon, I was standing in the hallway and I looked up and I noticed the paint seal around the panel was broken, cracked in a clean line on 3 sides, the way it looks when something has been opened and reclosed. Recently, from the look of the paint flaking, I got a stepladder and pushed the panel up. The crawl space was low, maybe 2 feet of clearance. Dark. I shone my phone light up there, and what I saw is something I think about every night. There was a clear path through the insulation, like someone had been lying there, flat on their stomach, and had moved back and forth enough times to mat down the fiberglass in a shape that was unmistakably the shape of a person. And it was positioned directly above my bedroom. There was other stuff up there too, I don't want to go into all of it. A few food wrappers, a water bottle, a tiff, a piece of notebook paper, folded in quarters that I should not have opened and read, but I did, and what was written on it I'm not going to repeat here because it had my name on it, my name, which I had told no one but Rhonda. I was out of that apartment in 2 days. I did not tell Rhonda why. I forfeited my security deposit and I left. I filed a police report. I gave them the